Hey guys, this is actually my first time, I guess, making a video like this and posting it on YouTube. Um, but I guess I'll just kind of break it down. Of course, in the title it says that there's a reward for the diagnosis, and that yes, it is currently $10,000 and Triumph Thruxton. I might make it more interesting in the future, but for right now, that's what I can do, and hopefully that's enticing enough for somebody to really want to take take a handle on this more or less. But I'm also gonna put a link for Dropbox just to kind of it's for a kind of an outline of my symptoms and whatnot, because I'm not going to be able to describe everything in this video. Unfortunately, I'll kind of give a general breakdown of what's been going on, but the list of everything up till 2017 will be in there and kind of guiding through everything that happened. Um, but the main point is that this has been a medical mystery that's been going on with me for about 10 years now in June, and it'll be 7 years that I haven't had a birthday cake. So it's kind of getting to me a little bit. Kind of want that birthday cake at some point. um, but yeah, more or less. Um, I kind of got sick in 2009, coming back from Vegas. 5 days later, it just seemed to start out as like a respiratory infection. I just got fatigued. I assumed it was a virus or something like that. Just never went away. And then just over time, over that period of a year, it just moved to my sinuses. I could no longer pop my ears, and at that point, I couldn't pop my ears either. And then a year into the illness, it eventually moved to my stomach. At which point, that was pretty much just game over. I went from being semi-functional, and it was just my sinuses in my chest, to bedridden, couldn't form sentences, lights got a lot brighter, couldn't really use the bathroom too easily anymore, was constantly constipated, just not very useful at all. I couldn't really get out of bed. And then it just progressively got worse and worse. We went to Duke, and I mean, they didn't find anything. I mean, they only tested me for a few things at Duke. They only tested me for like POTS and Lyme disease, which of course were negative. And then after that, I went to the Cleveland Clinic up in 2012 and saw all their doctors, neurologists, rheumatologists, infectious disease, plus similar doctors at a university, which of course nothing really came from that. I feel like I got blood taken possibly every day. But I was just constantly in and out of the emergency room up there, and no one could really tell me like anything other than like, oh, well, we kept you from dying today. But yeah, we still don't know what's wrong with you. So, I mean, there was obviously something wrong. They were at least able to admit that. They just didn't know what it was, or they didn't care enough to go through with figuring it out. But yeah, around that time, I saw a doctor in New York, who just kind of said like it seemed like I was having issues with sugar and whatnot, and I didn't really like put anything two to two together, like, oh, my diet might be messing with some of my symptoms, or at least like feeding something, because I didn't really know bacteria or fungus or anything like that fed on sugar, like carbohydrates or anything like that. So he put me on the Candida diet. I mean, he didn't feel like it was Candida. I still don't think it is, just because other things. But yeah, I mean, at least the diet did keep me out. Like, I didn't have to go to the emergency room anymore after that. I didn't have like any crazy kind of ambulance rides after that where I would be near death or anything like that. So that was helpful. And then also around that time, like, well, not around that time, but like a few months later, a doctor kind of like semi-diagnosed me with Lyme disease. And prior to that, I mean, I did have a medication, fluconazole, that did help me. It was the only medication I'll say that did help me while I was on a normal diet. Other medications did seem to help, but only when I was on my improvised, like, extreme strict diet. And I don't know if maybe I got an opportunistic infection while I got something. I don't know what came first, kind of thing. But I will say I did find out early on that prednisone and stuff like steroids and antihistamines made it worse. Sometimes faster than others, depending on how strong it is. But like low dose steroids, like they make me feel good right away, like as they reduce the inflammation, but over a few days, like symptoms would get increasingly worse, I guess, as it let whatever take over and help it grow. Um, so that's just kind of how that worked. But of course, the stronger the steroid, the faster the effect. I realized. But yeah, like onto the whole Lyme disease treatment thing. That was in 2012. Antibiotics, and of course they give me stuff like Malarone and whatnot. I think my first cycle of treatment was Malarone, doxycycline, azithromycin, and that kind of helped. I mean, it was better than where I was. It kind of got me not bedridden. So I mean, I knew it was like getting rid of something. I just don't know what, because I don't think it's Lyme disease anymore. Just because like other patients I had talked to in the future and whatnot didn't have my degree of severity with food limitations. And plus many of the other ones were getting better off of different medications than what I got off of, or got better from. So yeah, I did the oral treatment for a couple years, I think until like 2015. Of course, like orals were very up and down. It seemed like in the beginning I got probably the best effect from it as they were like brand new. My body hadn't seen oral antibiotics like that before. And then of course over time, like orals did nothing for me at all. I feel like the things that did the best as far as orals were like things like Coartem. I don't know what Coartem was killing. Apparently babesiosis, but I tested negative for it. And plus it seems like whatever I'm having issues with isn't blood related. It seems mucous membrane related. So like sinuses, lungs, gut. Even recently I figured out that my sperm has tons and tons of white blood cells in it for whatever reason. So something's attacking something. They just can't seem to culture it. So there's that. And but yeah, I mean, of course, orals eventually wore off. So I went to another doctor, and he gave me IV. And to this day, the only thing that's made me feel that level of normal is just being normal. So yeah, the combination that worked really well was clindamycin, meropenem, and ciprofloxacin. Plus there were some oral medications in there like Meprone and a few oral antibiotics added on top of it. But yeah, that was the only thing that made me feel really, really normal out of anything I did. Just because like it got me to where I could exercise. I was doing pull-ups. I was gaining weight. I went from like 145 to 155 in like a month. Like I've struggled so hard to like maintain any weight because I weighed 175 in high school, and the lowest I got down to was 128, and that's even with me eating a lot of food. Like I eat decent sized meals, and it's just like something else is eating it. My body's just not absorbing it. I don't really know what's going on. Even to this day, like I eat a lot of food, or at least I try to make sure I'm getting all my calories and then some, and I still can't gain weight. And even some days I'm losing weight, and it sucks. So I think right now I weigh 136. I actually lost weight this month just because I've had a setback with my symptoms. Kind of my fault. But yeah, struggling to gain weight, and it's a bummer. So, but yeah, as far as the IV treatment, that's what worked. They switched up my protocol the next month for something that was supposed to attack Lyme disease harder, and it just failed. They took out the clindamycin, and I don't think they took out Cipro. And then they took out the Meprone and a few other things, and then replaced it with tigecycline. Was supposed to hit the Lyme harder, and it failed. Couldn't work out anymore again, and started losing weight again, of course. And yeah, and then that kind of bummed me out because I mean it wasn't a cheap treatment at all. And then, of course, the end of that, they were going to put me back on orals, and I was just like, no, there's no point. Like, I know orals don't work, and I have to figure something else out. Plus, I developed C. diff at the end of it, so staying on antibiotics just wasn't a smart idea. So, I mean, I went through the whole C. diff thing, like, with a doctor, and eventually I did get a fecal matter transplant. The FMT did help some. I mean, not only did it get rid of the C. diff, but it helped some of my other symptoms, I guess, because there was whatever infection that's been in my sinuses and my lungs, and of course affecting my stomach the most because it has food and whatnot to feed on constantly. it did kind of even some of that out, which was nice. But of course, like, it only brought me up so decent. So I mean, it was better than where I was at. Um, so yeah, I mean, of course, I started dating a girl around that time, um, and yeah, I mean, after then it was just mostly trial and error, trying to figure out what supplements and what things I could do to make myself feel better, be more functional without antibiotics, because up till then I only knew antibiotics. And I figured out that things like monolaurin, caprylic acid helped. Uh, Supplements like Trantil helped a lot. I guess it helped get rid of things like in my small bowel. Um, let's see, what else? Hutunia, I can't remember. That was one that helped me recently. That actually got me up to a point to where I could exercise again. Until I tried another herb, feeling like maybe it was like mycoplasma or something. I tried Isatis, and that set me back ridiculously. I'm still trying to figure out how to recover from that, because things that I even tried before that helped aren't helping. Like, I don't even know what it did, because I've been on really high-powered antibiotics, and this thing seemed to be the worst thing I've ever done, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody at this point. But yeah, I mean, there was of course, probiotics that I tried, trying to vary my diet a little bit. So I kind of went on a trial of like trying different strains of probiotics, individual strains. Of course, I found out that Lactobacillus plantarum and I think Bifidobacteria longum were the only two that I could like tolerate no matter what. Like all the time, like I guess it just reduced inflammation enough to where my body wouldn't attack it, because my body's just in this constant state of like, oh my gosh, I gotta attack everything because it's everywhere. So anything new, it wants to attack. And then I guess after it kind of eased things down, I was able to integrate a few more bacteria, Megaspore biotic, integrated that slowly, and then of course a 5-strain probiotic from Custom Probiotics, which I recommend them highly because they work. They're just an amazing company, and they've always, anytime I needed something, like they've been on top of it. But yeah, I was able to integrate that in, just kind of between those things and of course the Hutunia and stuff. I was able to get to a decent level of functionality where I could like kind of exercise and stuff. I still wasn't gaining weight too well, but I could do low energy like workouts and whatnot, which was nice. And yeah, now since the Isatis, I'm trying to get back to where I tolerate certain probiotics. I'm not tolerating Hutunia now or Trantil, which is really bad. It seems like my kidney area hurts more, as well as my urinary tract. So it's just, I took that in February. It's now middle of May, and usually whenever I take a supplement that doesn't agree with me, wears off in a few days if it makes me feel bad. But this one just like snuck up. Like I didn't realize it was messing me up till like 3 weeks into it. Like I was doing 3 days on, 4 days off, like really low dose. And I guess it has like an anti-inflammatory effect too, but I guess that hit it from what it was really doing, and it really messed things up. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to fix that now. But yeah, I guess kind of the main things is I just want to figure out like how to diagnose this. Like it's just obviously in my mucous membranes, I don't know how to diagnose or test for something that's there. It's obviously something that's uncommon, super rare. Maybe I got it from somebody on an airplane that, like on my way home, and they were from a different country, and this is just something that's off the wall, never seen, because even at the Lyme disease clinic I went to, all the patients I talked to, even like tough patients there, none of them had like the exact symptoms I had. Like none of them had like the sinus things where they couldn't pop their ears, or like the stomach things where they could only tolerate 2 foods, because at the time I could only tolerate chicken and cucumbers. That was it. It was the only thing I could tolerate and be semi-functional and not feel like I was going to die. And it wasn't until like the probiotics and the Hutunia and the Atrantil that I was able to tolerate like celery juice, and like I could juice blueberries, but I couldn't really eat them. And then like a little bit of lentils here and there. But that was it. Like, if I overdid it, like, it seemed like it still fed things. So, yeah, I'm trying to kind of post this out to the world. Hopefully, someone will take it serious. I mean, the reward is very real. $10,000 and a motorcycle. I feel like that's a pretty good deal just for hopefully some diagnosis that I could get someone to test me for. If a doctor wants to work one-on-one with me, um, this has been a long time. It's 10 years. I've lost my fiance because of this illness. Like, it kind of keeps going, and I really don't want to keep putting my life on hold. And of course, people that have been undiagnosed forever, they probably realize that seeing specialists, seeing doctors and stuff like that, you schedule an appointment, like, get kind of hopeful. It's usually a month or two away. Then you see there, and they're just like, oh wow, you've seen a lot of people. What do you expect to get from this? Kind of thing. Because doctors that I've seen, they don't want to look at what's going on beforehand. Don't want to like tell you until you come in. So I'm hoping I can save a lot of time, and someone will be like, yeah, I can help you. Come see me. I understand what's going on. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. So I'll put a more descriptive thing in the Dropbox link below. And of course, if you have any questions, just send me a comment or send me a private message. I don't know if that's possible on YouTube, but I'm always willing to reply. I'll stay active in this kind of feed. But hopefully something will come from this, and just if anything, please share this. Thank you.